If somebody asked you to describe California's architecture, could you? What would you say? Since its founding, California has always had highly thematic architecture. Like if you watched the previous episode of the show and you retained stuff, CA's first architecture, Mission Revival, was a romantic lens on Spanish California. And that idea of taking everyday places and making them fantastical has literally carried all the way to today and is still thriving. Look at the Americana. But I feel like there's a point in 1955 where novel architecture hits its apex. Disneyland. Everybody knows Disney. We're not going to talk about it. But in Southern California, because of Disney, there's a weird side effect, which is the pseudo-Disneyland ripoff. And there's a ton of them. First, literally across the street from the theme park are multiple hotels and motels that unabashedly cop Fantasyland's aesthetic to try and land visiting guests' lodging accommodations. 5 miles southwest of Disneyland is another Fantasyland resemblance. Old World Village in Huntington Beach is a Euro-themed shopping center that has a hotel, market, chapel, and bar, and some midsummer-looking. It was designed so its shopkeepers could live above their businesses, and according to a 1989 LA Times article, 40 families lived in the mall. Exiting Old World, take one left, and you can follow Beach Boulevard all the way back to Anaheim, where you'll come across the remnants of Hobby City. Opening the same year as Disneyland, back in the day, each building here was dedicated to a different hobby. But as you can see, it has Frontier and Fantasyland vibes. So keep going up Beach Boulevard 2 more miles, and across the street from Knott's Berry Farm is a brick-by-brick replica of Independence Hall in Philadelphia. Now, you might be saying, how is this a Disneyland ripoff? Well, did you know Walt Disney originally planned a colonial-themed land east of Main Street? Look, if you think this is a stretch, I'm going to pull the I was previously a Disney cast member card, and I still use the Disney point. It's better than regular pointing, look it up. Up in San Gabriel is this Main Street-looking strip mall that I can't find any info on. I had no story, nothing. Also in San Gabriel is Clearman's Northwoods Inn. Opened in 1958, 3 years after Disney, has a clear Fantasyland incentive on this one. Short story, when I was a kid and dumb, when I would drive by this on the 5 freeway, I assumed it was associated with Disneyland, so clearly working. If you want to see a very similar feeling facsimile on a much larger scale, head up to the San Bernardino Mountains to see the leftovers of Santa's Village Amusement Park, which was a theme park for children that just got turned into a mountain biking park. Sometimes capitalism just works. So Santa's Village actually opened up a month and a half before Disneyland, but come on. So how could one rip off a park not built yet? Well, a year and a half before Disneyland opened, Walt Disney broadcasted all of the park's plans on ABC to help secure more funding for the park. So the next ripoff was actually more of a trend. Following the opening of New Orleans Square, Crescent City-inspired architecture popped up around SoCal, but seems to be mostly centered in Glendale and Santa Ana. My fave of these is what I call Big Easy Ralph's in Glendale. Also, another building I can't find any info on why the hell. Another mimicry, where you would least expect one, is in the very center of downtown, St. Vincent Court. This Main Street-like copy, or crappy Epcot on acid, was decorated like this in 1957, 2 years after Disney, to clearly gleam some of that fantastical Euro popularity that was going around. In closing us out, a straight shot down the 110 is Alpine Village in Torrance. It's got a market, had an awesome restaurant, RIP, small shops, and a cool chapel. The founder says it was inspired by his German cultural heritage, but I say that's him trying to emotionally manipulate us into not recognizing Fantasyland. So on face value, this can be taken as kitsch, but as a whole, something runs deeper, embedded in the DNA of all Angelinos. Angelinos, as a people, are world-class proprietors of media, fantasy, and creating worlds, and that's what I see here. It's a reflection of us and the ambitions that brought us all out here. And whether it's an apartment complex or a gun shop, why not give the mundanity of day-to-day living some vision? It reminds me of a quote from the great Francis Ford Coppola that I think about from time to time. It takes no imagination to live within your means. And I appreciate all the visionaries who tried to apply that here. They collectively and accidentally created a city that looks like every other, but like no other.